The Caprivi Concerned Group, Peace, Justice, Freedom, separate petition of concerned Caprivians to President of the Republic of Namibia from Caprivi Concerned Group, the date the 30th of August 2017, the subject political solution over the Caprivi political dispute. Inspired by the wishes and aspirations of the Caprivi people for peace and unity, justice and equality, including the inherent dignity and inalienable rights provided to all members of the humankind. A reference to Article 1 of the United Nations Charter, 1945, the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, 1976, and the International Covenant of Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, 1976, Article 20, Section 1 of the African Charter on Human Rights and People's Rights, 1986, and the Static Protocol on Politics, Defense, Security, and Cooperation, Article 11B. Considering the fact the territory demarcated and known as the German Southwest Africa in 1884-1885 did not constitute the territory currently known as the Caprivi Strip, and that this strip was only made a German sphere of influence by virtue of the Anglo-German Treaty 1890, which did not confer territorial rights of any legal nature to German Southwest Africa over the Caprivi Strip. Having read and understood a ruling of 1908 in Windhoek District High Court, which indicates that German general law had no validity in the Caprivi Strip, as those who were arrested and charged for crimes committed in the strip could not be convicted by the Honorable Court for the same reason that German law had no validity in the Caprivi Strip. Aware that Germany was stripped of its colonial possessions, including the Caprivi Strip, as stated in the Treaty of Versailles 1919, then in 1920, Southwest Africa, now Namibia, was placed under the mandate of the League of Nations, while the strip remained under South Africa as a separate entity. Show that Proclamation 147 of 1939, which provided that no act of parliament or ordinance of Southwest Africa will apply to the territory known as the Caprivi Strip, have never been repealed and is therefore still in force. Also aware that in 1972, the Caprivi had its own legislative council, national anthem, emblem, and flag. Knowing that certain laws specific to Southwest Africa and subsequently Namibia were not applicable to the Caprivi Strip until annexation law, application of laws to the Eastern Caprivi Zipfel Act 1999, Act 10 of 1999 was promulgated only on June 24, 1999, extending the laws of Namibia to the Strip without the consent of the Caprivian population. Recalling that In 1963, Caprivians, under the leadership of Brendan Simbwaye and the moral support of all traditional leaders in the Caprivi, formed a national political party, the Caprivi African National Union, with the objective of seeing the Caprivi or Caprivians free and independent. And the same year, the two traditional leaders in the Caprivi Strip petitioned the United Nations UN demanding freedom and independence of the Caprivi Strip. Where data in 1968, on November 5, a significant political major agreement was signed between Southwest Africa People's Organization SWAPO and Caprivi African National Union CANU to fight a common enemy, the South African regime that was illegally occupying the two countries, the Southwest Africa and the Caprivi Strip in particular, whereby it was also agreed that at independence, the Caprivians will be asked if they want to be independent or be part of Namibia. Inspired by selfless contribution of the Caprivians, such as Brendan Simbwaye, who mysteriously died in the hands of South African forces, Mishek Muyongo, who is now exiled in Denmark, Induna Masida, who was roasted over an open fire while his subjects were observing in honor, Judea Yaboroma, whose corpse, after being killed by South African forces, was displayed at his village for public view as a warning, and many fallen Caprivian plant fighters to the liberation struggle of Namibia. Recalling human rights violations committed by the Namibian government on Caprivians, which included a mass arbitrary arrests and detentions, summary exclusions, summary excursions, torture, enforced disappearances, and prolonged detention without trial, as admitted in 1999 by the then Namibian Defense Force Minister Eric Nkibitiner, in saying, definitely we made some mistakes regarding human rights abuses. Reminded of the history of arbitrary detentions of Caprivians by SWAPO in 1965 in Tanzania, which began with the detention of George Mutua and Alfred Tongo Nalishua at Kongwa for complaining that the Caprivians were being discriminated against by SWAPO. Taking into account the convention by NAM Rights Director, Mr. Frida Nangolo, on the 13th of September 2010, when he stated that, having been myself a junior Plan 5 officer in the reconnaissance detachment between 1974 and 1975, I know that atrocities such as torture, excursion, enforced disappearances have been committed against, among others, Caprivi African National Union CANU followers. So I have personally never taken part whatsoever in those atrocities. Nevertheless, I sincerely and unequivocally apologize for fear for my own life. Having already resolved in April 2012, and therefore determined to peacefully seek an amicable political solution to the Caprivi high treason cases and the Caprivi political dispute, as much as a dying person needs life. Understanding that the UDP leadership recognizes Namibia, former Southwest Africa, as a sovereign state, and that it is willing and ready to enter into political dialogue with the Namibian political leadership. Impressed that Namibia ratified or acceded to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights on 28 February 1995, and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on 3 July 1992. Having shared our concerns with the many individuals, organizations, and traditional leaders in the Caprivi Strip, with a clear consciousness, with all strengths, with weaknesses, for life and death before heaven and earth, we hereby demand a political dialogue between government of Namibia and the leadership of the United Democratic Party, the UDP, and unconditional release of all the Caprivi political prisoners. B, a referendum for Caprivians to be democratically decide whether they wish to be independent or continue with Namibia as Namibians. We thank you, Lennox Lutambo, Retief Kangongo, Edwin Samati, Audrine Mahulilo, Event Linyando, Harris David, Mr. Pangala, reading the petition here. We thank you.
No, thanks very much for receiving your petition. I feel that your petition is in good hands. We are going to hand it over to the relevant authorities, where they are going to either to discuss or to do
Oh,